on the left-hand side, you can see the Elbe River, well, both on the left and on the right-hand side, but on the left-hand side, you can see the most beautiful city of Dresden. So if you can imagine that this was completely in rubble, like after the Second World War. So now it is rebuilt and it is in its previous glory. On the right hand side, this is a very debatable monument and building, and nowadays it is a hotel that is inspired with this oriental architecture. And if I'm not mistaken, there is also an embassy that is located inside of this building. And we will be going towards that old part of the city. Socialist, brutalist, as they call it, architecture or style. And on the left hand side, this is one Heinz Stadium. So it's also for sports, but also for bigger venues and concerts, a little bit outside of the city. But Dresden is, from the sporting perspective, I don't know, but it's not really a place for that they host very large events here. It's not that type of a city. And now we can see a little bit of the valley along the Elbe River. So this valley kind of goes and spreads, and it's connected with this bicycle lanes, and people here in Dresden really use all the benefits and potentials of having the city on the river. And this valley is really beautiful, and it kind of provides a lot of this opportunities for being outdoors and enjoying the nature, and going with a bicycle, or having a day with your dogs, or going for walks and so on. So it's really, really nice. We're just going to have a little bit of a detour here somewhere, and then we were going to find our local guide, and then she will take us from. Good. Now when you have a look to the left, can you see the crown gate with a gilded crown on the very top? And you will get more information about this famous monument during our walking tour, of course. So now from the bus, some overview first, and we will also visit areas outside the center. But the most famous historic buildings are here in the old town. One of the many palaces in Dresden, here to the right, Taschenberg Palace, nowadays the Kempinski Hotel. But originally it was built for a mistress who would live then very close to the royal palace. Here to the right, this is the former royal palace museum building nowadays. And now we are reaching Sierra Square, rebuilt in the old style as it once had looked like. And when you have a look to the left, you can see the Opera House. We have many theater buildings in Dresden, but the most famous one, the most beautiful one, this is our Opera House that we call in German language Semperoper, as the architect's name was Semper. Then we get closer to the Elbe River. When you still have a look to the left, then you can see where the picture gallery is, the old masters. Of course, you can't visit all our over 30 museums and over 70 churches here in Dresden during your stay. Now,
Augustus Bridge, called so in the honor of Augustus the Strong, who was our most famous Saxon ruler. So you will get more information about him during the tour then. Some old paddle steamers also in Dresden, and on the other bank of the river, this sandstone building there, the Ministry of Finance of Saxony, one that is decorated with a mosaic, and it's even considered to be the most beautiful Ministry of Finance in Europe. I don't know if this is really true, but nobody has contradicted the point. And the other sandstone building there with the red roofs, this is the government building, the seat of our Saxon Prime Minister. And on the very top, this gilded crown is, he had to leave his throne, he would say something in Saxon dialect. Sächsisch still spoken here nowadays in this part of Germany, in Saxony. He would say something like, "Suit yourselves, I'm off." So Albert, and in the background, can you see the gilded cross on the top of the Church of Our Lady? We will get closer to this famous, even the most famous Lutheran church in Saxony during our little walking tour. But the cross on the very top, it was a gift from British people to Dresdeners. They were using mainly donations for the reconstruction of this church, otherwise they are rather using tax. But here they were using mainly donations, and there was given very much, not only in Germany but also in other countries, and so they could finish its reconstruction even 1 year earlier than they originally had intended. It will be open in the afternoon after our tour if you want to see its interior. When you have a look to the right, you can see the tallest tower in the center of Dresden, the tower of the city hall, 100 meters high, and on its very top, this is our golden man. He's just gilded, but we call him Golden Man, and he's some kind of protector of Dresden, holding his hand over the city to protect it. There's another statue, good for luck, at the foot of this building, a bronze statue representing a god of wine who's drunk, sitting on a donkey who's also drunk, so both are drunk, and this god has a big toe that looks shining because it has been touched so often. So just in case you are coming round, then you may also touch his toe and it will be good for you. One of the many gardens in Dresden, over 20. And now they are making here an e-car, an electric Golf. It's also possible to visit this factory. There are guided tours inside, and then you can get very close also to where they are putting the cars together. There's also a botanical garden here in this large garden. The entrance is free. And there's also a zoo in this garden, but I can't show you the animals from here, as the zoo is situated on the other side of the garden. You might know that so many things were short here in East Germany before the wall came down. Also building materials were very short. And so, for example, when there was a hole in the roof and you couldn't get the tiles to repair it, then when it rained, it was wet inside, and then the living conditions were often so bad that people could not stay there any longer. And the first ones were usually the tenants from the upper floors to leave the house, and sometimes there would still live somebody on the ground floor. But the houses, most of them were empty. And after the reunification, they started renovating them, and now most of them are very beautiful again, and people came back to live here in these older apartment houses. Yes, and then license bureau or a registry office for civil marriages. Of course, we have also church wedding, yes. But church wedding is in Germany, it's not valid before the German government, and so we also have these marriage license bureaus for civil marriages. It's some technical monuments also, but here to the right, this is the beautiful villa for civil marriages. Among the technical monuments here in Dresden, there is also a bridge. We call it in German language Blaues Wunder, meaning something like blue wonder or blue miracle. It was built just a few years later than the famous tower in Paris was built. You will see it's a similar construction, also made out of steel, not so tall of course. Originally it had renovation, but it's very famous. And from the bridge you will have another beautiful view on the palaces. When you have a look to the left in the background, you can see them. To the right on a hill, Dresden's TV tower, and in front of us to the right on this hill here on the right side in front of us, the suspension cable car, even the oldest one in the world, still working. And there's also a funicular going on another hill, so we will get closer then in a moment. Also to show you here these smaller houses to the right, they were built at a time when this was not part of Dresden yet. It was a village where there lived, for example, fishermen near the Elbe River and people who had vineyards on these slopes. And now, after the renovation of these houses, there are, for example, craftsmen living there and artists. One of the many restaurants in Dresden, here in front of us to the left, the small yellow house, lane, yeah? Could you see it for half a second, yeah? The famous Blue Miracle Bridge is the only Elbe bridge in Dresden that was not destroyed during World War II. The other bridges were destroyed by the German army. When the Soviet army came closer in 1945, then the German army would blow up all the bridges in the center. And here they also wanted to blow it up, but then two Dresdners, two men, would cut the wires at night. Dangerous thing to do, but so this bridge here is still original. And then we will come back to this place again from where we have a beautiful view on the palaces and on vineyards also again. Our Saxon wine, mainly white wine, relatively dry, You never get a headache afterwards when you have more than one glass. And usually more expensive than other wine in Germany is for two reasons. Of course, because of its good quality, it has this price, but also because the very small wine growing area. We don't have so much Saxon wine, and some of the people having a vineyard. Altogether, it's just 500 hectares here in Saxony, and 2,000 people having a vineyard, and some of them palaces. So here, a short stop to enjoy the beautiful view. And a few words about the palaces. They were built in the middle of the 19th century. The largest one, called Albrechtsberg, it was built for a prince whose name was Albrecht. Maybe in English you would rather call him Albert. He came from Prussia, from another German state. And why, from Berlin, yeah? Why he had built then a palace here in Saxony, it had something to do with a big scandal. Prince Albrecht, he absolutely wanted to marry a lady who wasn't his rank. And he got divorced from his first wife, a princess, to marry the other lady. And this was really a scandal. And so his brother, the Emperor Wilhelm, suggested him to rather leave Prussia. And so he came to Dresden, where he had built his palace near the Elbe River. The middle palace, a smaller one, more or less a villa, built for the prince's chamberlain. And the third one, called Eckberg, to us, to Dresdeners, it looks very English. It was built in such a romantic style in the 1860s, just a few years later than the other two were built. Constructed for an English merchant, by the way. And now this is a luxury hotel, and the other two palaces, they belong to the city of Dresden. There are guided tours inside. There's also an art school for children at Albrechtsberg, a nice restaurant. Another bridge outside the center to cross the river by car, where opposite the old town there is an area that we call in German language Neustadt, meaning new town, but this new town area is not really so new. It was new about 300 years ago, when it was built under Augustus the Strong as a new royal town. You may have a look to the left. Yeah? On the foreground, paddle steamer, also from the 19th century, and behind Corolla Bridge you can see the opera house there with the green roof, the cathedral, the tower of the royal palace, and the big stone cupola below. Sculpture got some new gilding, so even when the sun is not shining, the golden rider is now always shining. But he doesn't look at us. As King of Poland, he's looking approximately in the direction of Poland and also in the direction of a nice pedestrian street. So here at the beginning of the street there are some of these buildings that we call in German language blocks from the 70s, but behind them there are still very beautiful Baroque Bürgerhouses built under his reign. Or on the left side, then you will see a Baroque facade that belonged to the Saxon Royal Chancellery. Integrated later on into the complex of a hotel. Or still on the left side, the so-called Japanese palace. So it doesn't look so much to churches in Dresden, the Church of the Magi. Like most of our churches here, this church is also Lutheran. Saxony became a Lutheran country in the 16th century during the Reformation. But our largest, oh, please have a look to the right. In the background, behind Augustus Bridge, the Opera House, and here more on the foreground, the old fortification wall. Some modern architecture also here on the foreground. This is the new Dresden Synagogue, built some years ago. It had a predecessor that was constructed or designed by Mr. Semper, the architect of our famous opera house. But then the older one was destroyed by the Nazis, and in the end it was not rebuilt in the old style of the yellow facade. Just this metal staircase here is new. When they were renovating this house, when it was surrounded by scaffolding, then we saw that the staircase was part of the scaffolding, and then suddenly a lot all over the world. They are singing mainly sacred music, Bach for example. Here to the left, a large building complex that is called Altmarktgalerie, meaning Old Market Gallery. As you can see, this is no art gallery, it's a shopping center. Yeah? The closest one here, near the old town. And then you will see the Swinger again in a moment, with its crown gate. So here on the left side, the view on the crown gate, the Swinger. Historic building here. So to the left, the Opera House. Oh, a tram, the next tram. Many of them are in the colors of the city of Dresden, yellow and black. And sometimes also some advertisement there. So when you leave the bus, then you should take everything with you that you need for
Approximately there are so many generations of the Dresden family have lived inside until the end of the monarchy. And then you have a look at the facade of the royal palace. You can see that the facade is partly dark, partly light, but this is all the same building material, Saxon sandstone. It means that during the reconstruction they were using both light, blue sandstone, but also some But at the Opera House, there is a very famous orchestra, former Royal Orchestra, nowadays the second state orchestra. They needed many horses for their carriages and so on. And then there were the horses in this building that it's different. I mean, for example, the window. The horses were
You're never going to earn more than the Prime Minister who earns like.
in case you want to see the interior for your orientation. Your bus will be behind the seat. And behind the seat you get the opera. And in this part of the tunnel,
do vlastnej minulosti. Typickou typický výsledky.
botas el vestido, la
Sí.
cara y
Cuando lo comiste en calle, después te vas por...
no, ¿se acuerdan que cuando yo la quería